Fred DeLuca with Fairway Mortgage, and I'm with Aimee Mitchell of Cerreta Realty. Say hi, Aimee.
Hi, everybody.
And today's video, have you heard the buzzwords AI? AI, artificial intelligence. Well, this video, AI stands for appraisals and inspections. So we're going to actually let you know the difference between the two. Some of you who are buyers or sellers, you really don't know the difference and the definition. So our expert Aimee is going to take us around the house and then give us the difference between what an appraisal is, what an inspection is, what the cost is, what they do. Are they important?
Very important, both.
Very important. So you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, let's go. First, let's talk about home inspection. So when you're with a client, do you typically recommend inspections to all your buyers?
Definitely, always. We would never skip it.
And why is that? Why would you recommend it and not want them to skip? Now, have you had buyers try to talk you out of it?
Not very many, but if they ever question just spending that money is always worth it, because the inspection lets you go thoroughly over the condition of the home that you're buying. It'll save you money in the long run.
Are you in the house with the inspector and is your client with you?
Yes. Okay, so the inspector usually gets there super early. They start and go through the house very, very thoroughly, and then we come towards the end to walk through with the inspector, and he'll go through all the trouble areas that he thinks we should focus on.
So let's kind of walk through maybe some of those trouble areas, or areas that maybe are potentially more troublesome.
Okay, so in the kitchen, the inspector would always check the plumbing. The plumbing is one of the biggest things an inspector wants to check out to make sure everything's flowing properly. Sinks, toilets, bathtubs, showers, you name it. The inspector, is going to check every plumbing system and make sure it's functioning properly.
It's actually very clean under here.
It is, yeah.
Very organized.
Impressive. So the inspector is going to give us a huge list of things, maybe not huge, but a list of things that we should focus on, whether it's the roof, the AC, windows, plumbing, electrical, structural, whatever it is. The inspector is going to walk us through those areas with a list that he's created, and then we can go back to the seller and negotiate to get some repairs done. A lot of times we want to ask the seller to just get those repairs completed by a licensed contractor, or the seller can give you a credit towards your closing costs to get that money, to have less money towards your closing costs, and you can use that money for the repairs.
So in this market today that we're seeing, is it possible to get a seller's credit?
In the market that we were coming out of, the sellers weren't having to do any repairs. It seems like it's shifting a little bit, so we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen if the sellers are a little bit more willing to do repairs as we enter a new market.
What's the next area of concern or next area you want to check?
Let's see. So an inspector is always going to start outside. So they're going to look at the roof. Okay. They're going to look at the AC system, and when they're looking at the roof, they're looking for cracked tiles, misplaced tiles, anything that's letting that underlayment, exposing the underlayment so water can get through into the actual house.
Speaking of the roof, so are they actually getting maybe in the attic and actually look into the attic that way? Yes,
they go on the top of the roof and inside the attic to look at the roof and for any water stains, anything like that.
So it's a pretty
extensive report, yes.
So it's a pretty extensive report.
Yes, very extensive and very important.
When they're looking at an AC unit, what are they looking at?
The main things they're looking at is I think that differentials or the splits. So they're looking to make sure that the air is coming out at the temperature that they find to be acceptable to make sure your house is getting cool enough. They will look at the pool, and the home inspectors will give you a general overview about the condition of the pool, and then if they think you need a pool specialist, they will recommend that. The home inspector is going to give you a very general overview of all major systems. If there's any problem that he thinks you need to look further into, he will recommend that specialist to come out and give you a more descriptive overview.
So are they actually going to the pump? Are they actually turning the filters on? Checking the sprays, all that kind of stuff?
Yes, everything possible to make sure that everything is working in peak condition, or that you know that it's not working and you know what to expect. So we did the plumbing, so they're also going to look at all the electrical systems. So the outlets, the stove, the kitchen appliances.
Whoa! There we go.
Yeah. So they'll make sure everything works, everything. I mean, they are very, very thorough. The ovens work, the microwave. I think they even test the refrigerator.
Do they go out and check
the garage, whether the garage safety?
Very organized house here.
Yes, she is organized. They're going to make sure that the safety or the eyes of the garage are.
Oh, these little suckers.
Yep. So everybody's safe. So they check like a safety to make sure if you are trapped in here that you can open the garage without the electric system.
So did they check out this slot machine here too?
Definitely not. That's on you, and that's up to your realtor to negotiate.
Well, I
got
to try this thing a little later on. So what is the typical cost of an inspection nowadays?
An inspection is ranging from about $300 to $500, depending on the size of the home.
And this is paid out of pocket by the buyer?
By the buyer, yes.
Now, can it be negotiated that maybe the seller might pay for it? Is that common or uncommon?
Nope, the seller wouldn't usually pay for the inspection because it's a little bit of a conflict of interest. As you wouldn't want the seller paying for an inspector to come in and inspect their home. They might do something a little shady. I doubt it, but it could happen. The dogs don't come with the house.
So is this something that's of concern, or is it just a normal settlement of the house? Is this something that would be corrected?
That is probably just an eyesore, so you could ask for the seller to patch and paint that. However, it's more cosmetic, and most things that you ask for during the inspection period are safety or hazardous things.
Could it be too much if you ask for something like that, if your buyer wants to see if they can get away with the seller?
I don't think it's too much to ask for at all, but it's something that you're going to have to fix going into the home as the buyer, and it'll be a cost out of pocket. Yes, appraisals are very important, and they're actually required by your lender. Appraisals differ from inspections because appraisals are kind of going over the value or creating value for the home. So while the inspection is inspecting the condition of the home, the appraisal is determining the value of the home. So yes, appraisal is very important, and even if you're a cash buyer, you should get an appraisal because what am I trying to say? You don't, it allows you to not overpay for the home. Sorry, I lost my words for a minute. So
that's okay.
The appraisal allows you to ensure that you're buying something of value.
What is it that the inspector, that the appraisal inspector is looking for when it comes to, getting the value of the home?
Okay, so they're looking at the condition of the home. What upgrades do they have? What brings value to the home? They're looking at similar sales, recent sales in the surrounding area, the condition of the neighborhood, the location, and the value of the location, the schools, everything like that.
That is the main comparison is the comps in the area.
Yes,
typically, the comps are within about a mile or so of the listing, correct?
Correct.
Now,
ideally.
Now, if let's say they haven't had any comparable sales within a certain range, would they go out further?
Yes, I believe they can go out as far as 5 miles.
Are you or your client around when the appraiser is at the home doing the appraisal inspection?
Good question. The customer or the buyer is never at the appraisal, most likely. Oftentimes a realtor, buyer, or seller's agent will meet the appraiser there to make sure they have accurate information to do their job. Appraisers usually don't need us or want us there, but sometimes realtors are there just to provide support.
So from a lender's perspective, it's a lot of times I'll have my client say, well, could you reach out to the appraiser and tell them this or tell them that? No, we cannot do that. The appraisers, they're not part of the lender family. They're separate. They're a third party, basically. What happened in the past during the mortgage meltdown of 2006, 7, and 8 is that wasn't the case, but they changed things since then, so they have to be separate. So they're not affiliated with the lender. They work for many lenders, but if we need to communicate, we sometimes will maybe send a note to the appraisal company, and then they'll communicate something, but we cannot try to sway the appraisal in any way.
Nope.
The lender or the real estate agent cannot do that. That's a no. Who usually pays for the appraisal?
Okay, that's negotiable on the contract, but in this market, the buyer is paying for the appraisal, but it is part of the contract, and you can ask the seller to pay for it in maybe a different market.
And typically an appraisal costs anywhere between $450 to maybe $650. If you want to rush sometimes on the appraisal, that's probably an extra $100 or so. So the different loan programs will have different prices.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with the VA, it's a little more expensive. So.
And Fred, you can put that part of your closing cost, wrap that into your closing cost. Is that correct?
Well, no. Typically, they have to pay for the appraisal out of pocket.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now, sometimes we're able to get what they call an appraisal waiver. And what that means is, depending on the equity in the home, depending on the comps in the area, sometimes we can get the appraisal waived, where the buyer doesn't even have to pay for the appraisal. But it's becoming more rare nowadays than it was maybe about a year ago. Is there anything else we want to add when it comes to appraisals, in home inspections, anything you can think of?
Maybe just recap that the inspection is covering the condition of the home and the appraisal is covering the value of the home.
That's it. It's plain and simple. So if you need any more information from Aimee, all you need to do is go to the description section of this video. There's a link. I want you to click on that link right there. Fill out your information, and then we'll get you a list of things to look out when it comes to an inspection. I'll be sending you that. I can send you some information on appraisals as well. Or if you just want to reach Aimee, if you want to have her come to your home, and if you're thinking about listing or selling your home, have her come out and do an analysis.
Yeah, of course. Yep, whatever you need, we'll be there.
She'll do it for you.
Yep.
So anyway, so thank you, Aimee.
Yep, thank you
so much. AI, appraisal and inspection. Remember the difference. Take care.
And please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel.